Hi, this is Guy Gottslack, president of My Digital Money. So Terra, it's a blockchain that it's facilitating financial payments. Its goal is really to be a large-scale payment system. And that's why the family of stablecoins is important, because one of the main obstacles to adopting Bitcoin as a day-to-day currency is that it fluctuates, it's volatile, right? And stable coins, you feel comfortable spending it because, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin today because it might be worth double tomorrow, so then I'm losing out. It's better for an investment, but not for day-to-day purchases, right? And so Terra aims to provide a family of stable coins that allow it to be a huge payment network. And the advantage of that payment networks over Visa or others is the lower fees, right? And merchants, instead of paying 2 to 3%, they would pay up to 1%, but a lot of times much lower than that. 1% is the maximum. And so cheaper fees and fast settlement times, right? Because settlement times in crypto is measured in minutes or even seconds eventually, whereas settlement time in the traditional financial system is measured in days. And so you get a huge benefit from having this kind of payment network. But the important thing is the adoption, right? There has to be a lot of people using it. And so basically they created a family of stable coins pegged to the US dollar, euro, a bunch of other currencies, and you can develop more because it gives you a framework to really develop these stable coins. And these are algorithmic stable coins. So that's different than the most popular form of stablecoin, which is usually backed by assets, by currencies. So the most popular examples of this is Tether, for example. Tether and Circle, those are two examples of, these are companies that have to back up each coin with its currency equivalent. So, for the US dollar, Tether has to have, $1 US for every 1 Tether, and or an asset that's worth $1. And the problem with that is that they're subject to regulations, and they could mismanage the funds. So there's a risk there. With algorithmic stablecoins, you don't have to have the assets backing it. You're giving economic incentive. The way that at least Terra does it, they give economic incentives to miners to keep the price stable, the price of the stablecoin stable. So it's kind of complicated how it works, but essentially there's a coin called Luna within the Terra ecosystem. And so there's supply and demand, right? And so the more demand there is for Terra, the more Luna is going to be worth, because let's say you only have 1,000. Let's talk about the stablecoin UST, right, for the US market. So let's say you have 1,000, right? And then someone else wants to come in and buy additional USTs. That means you have to mint additional USTs. So what would happen to the price if you have more of those, right? If there's more demand, the price is going to go up, but you don't want the price to go up. You want the price to stay at $1, right? And so the way that they accomplish that is the miners basically exchange Luna for UST, right? And so you would basically you would give $1 of Luna, maybe you would get $2 of UST, right? Because you want to destroy USTs, or you want to create USTs. So you can play with the supply basically by exchanging Luna for UST and vice versa. I know it's a bit complicated, but basically the more demand and the more adoption there is, the more Luna is going to be worth, because you're destroying Lunas, right? You're reducing the supply of Lunas as UST goes up. The amount of UST goes up. So yeah, this is highly profitable for miners as well, and it helps get closer to a payment system, global payment system that has reduced fees, reduced settlement times, and that's why it's important. Because it's also important because there are other algorithmic stablecoins that have essentially lost people a lot of money because they essentially were like a Ponzi scheme, right? There was no real utility behind it, and this is the only one so far that's worked. So that's why it's important. Not to say that there aren't risks, there are, but I think it's the best framework for stablecoins so far.